Guitar lessons are filmed like this, but they should really be filmed like this, because this isn't what you see as a player, this is. But what about when you're playing with others, or transcribing performances, or taking in-person lessons? Isn't it important to train your eye to be able to tell what someone else is playing? Well, sure, but think about what you're saying, right? You're saying that we should force players to train their eyes, even if it makes the lesson harder. The only problem with that is, number one, you're making the lesson harder, so whatever lesson the lesson is actually trying to teach is going to be harder to learn. And number two, not everyone needs to train their eye. I mean, many guitarists never play with others, never transcribe performances, and never take in-person lessons, but you're forcing them to have a worse learning experience too, even if the benefits of doing so aren't relevant to them. And this is especially true for beginners, because 90% of all beginners quit within their first year. So right off the bat, you've got 90% of all beginners for whom two of the benefits are just completely useless, because they'll quit long before those benefits ever matter. So that being the case, doesn't it make sense to try to reduce that 90% attrition rate as much as possible? For example, by using a more natural, easier to watch camera angle? And look, I'm not saying that eye training isn't useful or that it shouldn't be taught. I just don't think that it should be forced on players. Like, I think that ear training is a really important and valuable skill, so much so that I even made a website for it. But I fully acknowledge that ear training is just not that important for beginners or players who only want to play casually. And that's totally fine, because the people who want to learn ear training can just learn ear training. It doesn't need to be forced on everyone. We don't need to, for example, black out guitar lessons and be like, okay, I know this is hard, but this way we're forcing you to train your ears. I mean, that would be ridiculous. But that's exactly the argument that some people are making for why we should stick with the traditional camera angle. Now at this point I should mention that my argument only works if you agree with me that the POV camera angle is superior to the traditional one. A lot of people don't agree. For them, the traditional camera angle is easier. Now this could just be because that's what they're used to, because that's how all guitar lessons are filmed, and perhaps as a beginner they would have preferred the POV camera angle if that was available. But it could also just be a personal preference thing, where some people naturally prefer the traditional camera angle over the POV one. Also, I kind of forgot that left-handed people exist. So yeah, I don't think you can actually ever have a lesson that's just purely shot in POV, because it would be unwatchable for lefties. So because there are some people who need or prefer the traditional camera angle, I think the best solution would be to show both at the same time. Also, is my action really that high? Okay, I get that it looks kind of high, but I'm pretty sure that's just the camera angle, because my action is around 2 millimeters on the last fret. And my guitar's manual actually recommends 2.4 millimeters, but Sweetwater does recommend
1.6 millimeters.
And Justin Guitar recommends
1 3/4, let's say.
So is my manual just wrong? Well, no, because Sweetwater and Justin Guitar are both giving measurements for the 12th fret. And if I measure the 12th fret on my guitar, it is actually 1.75 millimeters. So yeah, stop making fun of my action. I'm pretty sure it's just a camera angle. Also, this is my favorite comment.